Welcome back to Personal Pension Radio and Wealth Protector TV. I'm Kraig Strom. I am a paralegal here at Barth Calderon. I'm also the host of the Personal Pension Radio podcast. This is episode 258. This is going to be a quick take, and I call it a false sense of security. I'm so surprised how many people are running very successful businesses and they do not understand that their corporate structure has massive holes when it comes to liability protection, creditor attack. Let me explain first of all, inside versus outside. I've talked about this before on the podcast. I really think it's important to reiterate it. If you have a corporation wrapped around your business, let's say it's a C Corp or an S Corp or whatever it might be, you have to understand that if you have a liability that happens inside that S Corporation, it's going to be difficult for that liability, that creditor, that claim to come out of the S Corporation and get to your personal assets or other assets in general, other businesses, and for example. So an inside liability has a hard time coming out of an S Corp or an LLC or a C Corp for that matter. That's the piece that most people focus on. Oh, I've got an S Corp, I got a C Corp, I got a whatever, it protects my assets. Wait just a second. There is an outside liability that everybody needs to know about. You need to understand it. That if you're in a situation where you have something that happens outside your company, that can have huge ramifications. So let's just say that I've got a friend who owns a company that she's built up over the last, let's say 20 years. She and her husband work closely together in the business, and they're a classic example of the American overnight success story. It just took them 7,300 nights, and whammo, they are an overnight success. The primary business they run together is held in an S corporation structure. Their accountant and so forth suggest that an S corporation for them was the best for taxes. But how does it help them with asset protection? That's the idea. Now, looking at their business, 20 years later, they're running a multi-million-dollar company. Remember, the S Corp was set up forever ago. Taxes were good and so on and so forth, and it'll provide you protection if something happens in the company. But now they're running a multi-million-dollar company which protects their personal assets outside the company, but is the company itself actually protected? So what's the problem? Let me take you through an example, a hypothetical example. Let's say that the husband is driving his car up to their mountain house because over the years they've built up some personal assets, some toys, a vacation home up north, a vacation home in the mountains, a primary residence. Let's say the husband is driving his sports car up the mountain to go to the mountain house. It's personal business. They might suggest or argue that it's always business. Insurance companies and courts have a hard time believing that you're always on business. So let's say this is a legitimate personal trip to go up and relax and decompress for the weekend, and they're on their way up. Now, on the way up the mountain, driving within the speed limit, driving just normally, maybe a little spirited because he's driving a sports car, but nothing illegal. A motorcycle rider coming up the mountain very quickly comes around a corner behind my friend and ends up right next to the car on an inside corner. My friend doesn't really have much time to react, and all of a sudden there's an impact. The motorcyclist goes down. There's a major accident with the motorcycle. My friend is fine. The motorcycle rider is not fined, severely injured. Now, when all the dust settles, the Highway Patrol accident investigation shows there was no fault for my friend. He was driving in his lane. There was no apparent reckless driving. It appeared to be just wrong place, wrong time. Maybe the motorcycle actually drifted over the line or lost traction. Something happened, but it wasn't deemed to be a criminal or illegal act on the part of my friend. Got it? Okay. Now, the criminal case, there is none. But down the road, a few months, sure enough, a letter in the mail, civil case, a lawsuit filed by the doctor and his family against my friends. Because the doctor, yes, that's right, the cardiac thoracic surgeon riding the motorcycle is now permanently disabled. In his 50s, 53 years old, he can't work anymore as a cardiac surgeon. The accident investigation, again, remember, clearly said it wasn't my friend's fault. Not at all. Okay, no speeding, no apparent cutting of lanes, none of that. But here's how it works. A civil case brought by this doctor, judgment in favor of plaintiff. That's right, judgment in favor of plaintiff. Because civil court is very different than any kind of a criminal case. So now we've got a judgment. This doctor who can't work for the rest of his life lost so much income, the judgment is $5 million. Now, my friend has umbrella liability insurance, tries to claim that he was on business, but his insurance company says, yeah, I don't know. How do you prove that you were on business? You were in a personal car. What were you doing? It might be difficult to get that to cover, but even if they get the $2 million umbrella coverage from personal or work insurance, there's still $3 million of judgment out there. What are we going to do with that, right? There's $3 million of judgment. Well, that's okay, because if I have a judgment against someone, my lawyers can go after assets they own. And who owns the stock of the golden goose, the cash cow, the big S Corp? That's right, my friend and her husband, they own the shares of the S Corp. What could a court say? A court could say, you got to hand over $3 million worth of those shares to the doctor and his family. Now who owns the company? That's right, the doctor. The S Corporation did not, in this case, protect from outside-in liability. That's the important piece here, folks. You've got to have inside-out and outside-in liability protection, and oftentimes a basic S Corporation doesn't do it. That's where the right use of LLCs, multi-member LLCs in the proper jurisdiction with the right membership and the right structure. And it just so happens that the team here at Barth Calderon, second to none when it comes to putting together asset protected entities that are essentially bulletproof. That would be a situation that would be virtually impossible to then get control of that company's stock. I'm Kraig Strom. I am a paralegal here at Barth Calderon. I'm also a certified financial planning professional, and we want to help you protect those assets that you've worked so hard to build up over the years. Please give us a call or send me an email. Kraig with a K at barthattorneys.com. Kraig with a K at barthattorneys.com, or click the link in the YouTube video that you're watching right now, or send an email back on the blog that you received wherever you're seeing this message. Don't delay. Make sure that you get your complimentary asset protection review today. Take care, folks.